Good morning, Concord Church. My name is Ben Wallman, and I'm the student pastor here. And we just want to say a warm welcome to you this beautiful Sunday morning. And thanks for joining us online. This morning, we're going to do something just a little bit different. We're going to be honoring our high school seniors as they're getting ready to graduate. And we are so excited for them. This has been a wild year, we can all agree, but we are so excited for them nonetheless. And we just want to party with them. We want to celebrate just their accomplishments and their achievements over this last 4 years. And so in a moment, you're going to see the seniors pop up on, and they're going to share a little bit about what their plans are for the future and future career opportunities, all that fun stuff. And you'll see a cute picture of them, their baby picture, their senior picture. You can ooh and ah over that. But here's one thing I want to encourage you to do. We want to blow up the chat with some encouragement for our seniors, because the reality is they don't get to sit in a stadium and hear people cheering for them. They're not going to be sitting in a service right now hearing all of us clapping for them and excited for them. So we want to do that digitally. So here's what I encourage you to do. Get on the chat right now and just type in just a huge fat congratulations. Type in their name when you see them show up. Put your favorite emojis out there and just let them know that you are so excited for them, that you are so ecstatic for them, and let them see that love. Let them see that virtual just applause for them. So go wild in the chat. Let that thing scroll like a crazy person. So anyway, with that said, here's our first senior.
Hello, I'm Matthew Coombs. I'm graduating from Oakville Senior High School. In the fall, I plan on attending Fairmont State University in West Virginia to get a bachelor's in political science and national security intelligence, and I am currently focused on becoming an FBI agent or working in the intelligence sphere at a government agency.
I'm Kayla Cormack. I'm graduating from Oakville Senior High School, and this fall I plan on attending Pittsburgh State University, majoring in environmental geography and sustainability with a minor in safety, health, and environmental management.
Hi, my name is Austin. I'll be graduating from Northwest High School. I will be attending 2 years of community college here in Missouri, with hopes afterwards of transferring to the University of Atlanta, where I will finish pursuing a degree in music technology.
Hi, I'm Nick Grant. I will be graduating from Fox High School. I will be attending Jefferson College in the fall, and I'll be a vocal and music major, and possibly a music educator someday. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carter Peel. I'm graduating from Afton High School, and in the fall, I plan to go to St. Louis Community College before I transfer to Missouri S&T to pursue an engineering career.
Hello, my name is Blake Slinkard. I am a senior graduating from Rockwood Summit High School. I will be attending Merrimack Community College in the fall, and I'm currently undecided as a major.
So a huge congratulations to our seniors. We're so proud of you guys, and we are so excited about what God has for you in the future. And we can't wait to see how He grows you, how He shapes you, and how He molds you. And speaking of that, we want to encourage you, and we have given you a gift. We've actually already delivered it to your house along with some candy and a balloon just to say, woohoo! We're so excited. But we have this book for you, and you already have it, but it's by Tim Keller. It's called The Reason for God. And this book has shaped not only my life, but countless others, including Pastor Rusty as well. And in this book, Tim Keller just really helps us work through our doubts in our faith and just some of the big things that a lot of us struggle with. And he's really helped me through some of those doubts that I've had in my own faith. And as you go to college, we all know college is a place where we start to think a little bit more critically. We begin to think on our own a little bit more. We're not under our parents' line of thinking 24/7. And so doubts in our faith are just a natural part. So we encourage you to read through this, but I encourage you not to read it linearly. I encourage you to read it as you need it. So look at the chapters, look at the things that are in there, and maybe the questions that you have about your faith, and then just dive right into that chapter, dive right into what Tim Keller's talking about. And so we're excited for you guys. We can't wait to see again what God has in store for you, and we're praying for you, and we can't wait to just hug you. We can't wait to just go nuts with you when all this quarantine lifts. But let me pray for you as we close out this time, and we send it over to worship for this morning. So God, thank you. Thank you for this wonderful morning that you've given to us. Thank you for these seniors. And Lord, thank you for how you've been at work in their life, and God, how you've been shaping them and molding them. God, this is a year they would have never expected. It's a year none of us expected. But God, we know that you're good. We know that you're doing great things. And God, we know that you're going to use this for your good, for their good, and for your glory. And so, God, I pray that as they go into this next year, God, would you just give them a purpose behind their lives? God, would you give them an excitement and enthusiasm for what you are going to do in their life? And God, I just ask, Lord, would we as a church just uphold them and encourage them throughout this time? So God, thank you. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Guys, thanks for joining us. Enjoy this time of worship.
Welcome to Concord Church Online. We're so glad that all of you are here with us. And this is going to be a really neat experience as all of us come together from different parts of St. Louis and beyond. And I just hope that you guys jump in and worship along with us. At the bottom of your screen, there's going to be lyrics. And we would encourage you, just wherever you're at, sing along and just enjoy this time together. So Camille and Jordan and I are so happy to be able to do this for you. So let's get going.
Who am I that the highest king would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Free at last, he has ransomed me, his grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Let's sing this together. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. All right, you guys, I just want you to take a minute and reflect on the goodness of God. Reflect on his love for you. Just feel free to lift up your voices in your own way. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Let's sing that together. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. And I am chosen, say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. Yes, I am who you say I am. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Amen.
Your love's so great, Jesus, in all things. I've seen a glimpse of your heart a billion years. Still I'll be singing. How can I praise you enough? How can I praise you enough? You are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. Creation calls all to the Savior. We are alive for your praise. In earth and sky, no one is higher. Our God of wonders, you reign. Oh, our God of wonders, you reign. You are the Lord. You are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. You are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. Not to us, but to your name, we lift up all praise. Not to us, but to your name, we lift up all praise. Not to us, not to us, but to your name, we lift up all praise. Not to us, not to us, but to your name, we lift up all praise. You are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. Oh, you are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. Not to us, but to your name, we lift up all praise. Not to us, but to your name we lift up all praise. Not to us, not to us, but to your name we lift up all praise. Oh, not to us, but to your name we lift up all praise. You are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares. You are the Lord Almighty, outshining all the stars in glory. Your love is like the wildest ocean. Oh, nothing else compares.
Well, hey there everyone, my name's Brandon. Welcome to Concord Church and thanks for spending part of your weekend with us. We wanted to take just a few minutes to share some things coming up for you and your family, so check this out. Being active and engaged in our community is really important to us as a church, and we love partnering with good things that are already happening. One way we do that is by partnering with the Red Cross. We often think of people needing blood after a serious accident. It's not just those one-time extreme examples though. It's people battling leukemia or kidney disease or going through chemotherapy. Lots of things we might not always think about. And during this pandemic, blood donations are especially needed, so please consider giving. There are special instructions for this particular blood drive, so be sure to click the link in the description of this video for important details you need to know before you donate. We know that asking questions is part of the process of learning what it means to follow Jesus. Going Deeper is an online venue for you to have that conversation with us. Pastor Rusty Wirt will be taking your questions about God, faith, and the Bible during a live Q&A on Monday nights at 7 p.m. So bring your questions tomorrow night and join us on Facebook for Going Deeper as we answer your questions. We want to take just a minute to say thank you for your sacrificial giving during this time. Because of your faithful generosity, we've been able to continue supporting our regular missions efforts, but we've also been able to serve families here in our area by utilizing our food pantry and through meeting other specific needs that have been identified by our partner mission organizations, like Oasis International and Butterfly Haven. So once again, thank you. Your giving is making a huge difference in incredibly practical ways. And if you're not partnering with us financially yet, there are 3 ways you can do that. You can give online through our website. The link is posted in the description of this video. You can mail a check to our office, or you can stop by on weekdays between 11:30 and 1:30 to hand deliver your gift. Again, we are so grateful for your ongoing financial support that helps us serve our community and connect more and more people to Jesus. If you're new with us today, we want you to feel at home and know that this is a safe place, and we are so glad to have you here. For us, church is so much more than a Sunday service, and we want you to know that there's a place perfect for you here at Concord. One of the best ways you can get connected with us is to fill out the Connect form at the link below and post it in the description of this video. Just fill out as much information as you feel comfortable sharing, and that's it. One of our staff will connect with you later this week, so take just a minute to head over to our website to fill out that form. And we also want to say thanks to all of you for being here online with us today. We believe you're here for a reason. God has something He wants to say specifically to you, wherever you're at. And our hope is that today's service leaves you encouraged and closer to Him than ever before. Be sure to stay connected with us at concordchurch.com and on social media to stay up to date with everything happening here at Concord. So with all that said, we're in part 4 of our Peaks and Valleys teaching series. Take a look.
Hey, well, welcome everyone to Concord Church Online. We're glad you're here, and I want to give a shout out to all of our high school graduates. Congratulations on graduating. I can imagine this has been a very weird and crazy year for you, But we want you to know we love you, we support you, and I hope this service has illustrated that, our support for you and our care for you. And I want to begin this morning by kind of contrasting a story of the things that we're celebrating here. And it's a story about a young teenager that makes some very bad decisions, and it sets us up for where we want to go today. Here's the story I want to read to you. In 2012, a Fort Worth police officer drove by a Dollar General store in Lakeside, a small town in the outskirts of Fort Worth. He saw a black pickup truck parked with its lights on. Officer Spakes found an intoxicated 16-year-old named Ethan. According to court records, the teenager told the police that he'd stopped to use the bathroom and only had a drink or two. Officer Spakes wrote the following about him in his police report, quote, "Very arrogant, a smart-mouthed kid that had a bit of an attitude with authority." The police report continues. "I verbally got onto him trying to get him to see how badly he was messing up." The young teenager eventually acknowledged his behavior was wrong. Yet when a second officer, Officer Risdon of the Lakeside Police, handed Ethan his citation, the teen replied, quote, "Thanks for ruining my life," expletive, as though it was the police's fault. A month later, a municipal judge gave Ethan 6 months probation for possessing and consuming alcohol as a minor. The judge also ordered him to complete an alcohol awareness course and 12 hours of alcohol-related community service by June 19th of that year. This is a pretty simple and straightforward punishment. But Ethan did not comply. And 4 days before the deadline, he organized a party at the family's second home just outside of Fort Worth. That party would lead to death. You probably have heard this story in the news because the Ethan that I'm referring to is the Ethan Couch of Fort Worth, Texas. And you probably know the rest of the story. On June 15th, 2013, Ethan lost control of his family's pickup truck after he and his friends had played beer pong and drank beer stolen from Walmart. The crash took the lives of 4 people. Ethan Couch, 16 at the time, was found to have a blood alcohol level 3 times the legal limit. A psychologist who evaluated Ethan in 2013 introduced the affluenza term at trial in reference to Ethan being coddled by his wealthy parents. He went on to testify that Ethan learned nothing from his first incident. Quote, "The teen didn't think he had done anything serious and that his wealth had shielded him from an understanding of consequences." End quote. Officer Spakes showed up in court that day to testify as well. Here's what he said. Quote, "He had a hard time listening and has come from a family with wealth, and he appears to believe his privilege has entitled him, but yet without responsibility." And this story of Ethan Couch explains to us, illustrates to us what happens when someone lives in an environment that's unstructured like this. And the one quality that is missing is the quality of discipline. And his actions and his choices contrast the very students that we are celebrating today that have done great work and have persevered during a very difficult and strange time. And it's probably easy for us to critique Ethan, right? Because we're on the outside looking in. I mean, we recognize all the mistakes that he made. We can clearly see that his parents failed to do the right thing in rearing him. They didn't hold him accountable, and his mom didn't hold him accountable. And later on, we learned in his story that his mom helped him escape to Mexico in order to avoid charges. And so all the way around in Ethan's life, he's missing this one serious component of discipline. And so it's easy for us on the outside looking in to recognize that. And it's easy for us to kind of come to terms with that and say, yeah, that's clearly a lack of discipline on that part. And that's clearly missing inside of his life. But here's the problem. The problem is when we begin to move this from some kind of abstract category that's out there and begin to apply it in our own life, discipline becomes a little more thorny. And inside of your notes, if you have them, I put it this way. I said, the problem is this related to discipline. Discipline is the thing you need the most for the long-term maturing, yet it is often the thing you want the least in the immediate moment. Did you catch that? I'll say it again. Discipline is the thing you need the most for long-term maturing. It is often the thing you want the least in the immediate moment. And to explain this further, I've gone to the source of truth and wisdom for our modern culture, and that is the Google meme. And here's one of my favorite memes that I think illustrates this the best. Here's what it says. I want a hot body, but I also want tacos. How many of you can relate to that? Yes, love me some tacos there. And so this is the tension that I want us to talk about for the rest of our time here. This idea that I need discipline, and discipline helps me reach my long-term goals. It helps me get to the places that I really want to be in life. But the immediacy of the pain that I'm feeling during the process is what prevents me from fully embracing the strength and the benefits of discipline. So that's what we're going to talk about here for the rest of the sermon. To get us started here, I want you to discuss something. Here's what I want you to discuss. I want you to discuss the following and then share your responses if that's appropriate for you, if you're online. I want you to discuss and share the following. What comes to mind when you hear the word discipline? Do you view this as a good thing or a bad thing? So let me say it again. What comes to mind when you hear the word discipline? Do you view this as a good thing or a bad thing? So discuss and then share your responses online. On your mark, get set, go. All right, confession time. How many of you related the concept of discipline with punishment? Anybody make that choice? Anybody make that connection between the two? That when you think of the word discipline, and maybe it's because of your experience, maybe you had a bad issue with someone that was in authority over you before and it didn't go well, but when you hear the word discipline, you immediately think of punishment. And sometimes people correlate the two. But what I want to do is I want to give you the official definition of the term as it's being used in the scripture that we're going to look at today. And it's a very specific definition that I think helps give some clarity about this issue and gives some clarity about what God is up to. Because here's where I'm going with this. The idea is this, is that sometimes the pain that you're going through is really God's disciplining you to prepare you for what's next. Does that make sense what I'm saying? That the pain that we're experiencing, the trial that we're in, God has the ability to use that to grow us and mature us and prepare us for what He wants next in our life. But if we miss that concept, if we miss that idea, then it just feels like the universe is out to get me, or God is out to get me, or I'm just a complete failure, or I don't know why I'm going through this. But in the Christian faith, especially related to the passage that we're going to look at, God can use pain, pressure, and discomfort to do something that benefits us in our future. And that's exactly what the passage means that we're going to look at today. So first, let me give you this clear technical definition of the word discipline as it's used in the text here, and then we're going to dive into the text. So discipline, it's built upon the Greek word padei, and it means to provide instruction with the intent of forming proper habits of behavior, of providing guidance for responsible living, of rearing, guiding a child towards maturity. So it has this concept of a father-child, mother-child kind of dynamic. Paideia is a broad term signifying whatever parents and teachers do to, now look at this list, to train, correct, cultivate, and educate children in order to help them develop and mature as they ought. Now, I want to throw up this definition again on the screen, okay? I want you to look at it. Do you see the word punishment in there at all? No, this is not what the Bible is talking about. And what I want you to remember is that it could be that the very trial that you're in right now is the very thing that God is using to discipline you. Well, what does that mean? To train, to correct, to cultivate, to educate. That God is using this pain. And the pain that we're feeling is very much part of the process. It's the very thing that God uses to get us to where we need to go. And I hope that this verse that we look at, or these verses that we're going to look at, help illustrate that. So take your Bibles and turn to the book of Hebrews. It's tucked away there, kind of in the middle of the New Testament. Hebrews chapter 12 is where we're going to be. And just a plug for something that's happened tomorrow night. On Monday night at 7 p.m., we're doing Going Deeper. And I'm going to kind of reveal some more insights about this very, very important book. And even if you're not a Bible person, or maybe you're not a Christ follower, I want to give you some reasons why I think you should buy into the book of Hebrews and this letter that we see inside the New Testament, and the benefit of that, and what you can learn from that. So I'm going to be sharing that on Going Deeper, 7 p.m. tomorrow night. I hope you can make it. Invite your friends. So Hebrews chapter 12 is where we are. Hebrews chapter 12, let's start there in verse 4, and just a little background. This is a guy, we don't know who this is. Could be a girl, could be a lady, we're not sure. But someone wrote this in order to educate and inform and inspire Christians there in the first century that were facing persecution. And here's one thing you need to know about these Christians. These Christians were former Jews, and they kind of converted from Judaism to Christianity, but they're beginning to waver. Okay, they're beginning to fret a little bit, because of the persecution that they're facing. And this letter is written to encourage them to maintain their faith. And here's what the author says. Let's start there in verse 4, and we'll pick it up. Here's what he says. In your struggle against sin, you have not resisted to the point of shedding your blood. And what the author does here is that he says, look, let me give you kind of a reference check here. I know this is hard. I know some of you feel challenged, but just perspective balance here. You haven't sacrificed up to the point of shedding blood. I mean, this hasn't caused you to lose any blood over this. No one's come and attacked you. And this is a way of reminding them, by the way, that some people have done that. Some people have shed blood. Some people have lost their life. You are not in that category yet. And so as I'm getting into this topic about how we handle, trial and difficulty, just a reminder to you, you haven't gone that far yet. So just kind of a reality check for the listeners there. All right, verse 5. And have you completely forgotten this word of encouragement? Because in trial, when things get hairy, we tend to forget some of the basics of our faith. So he's reminded them. Have you completely forgotten this word of encouragement that addresses you now look at this, as a father addresses his son. So father addresses his son. And then he dives into the Old Testament. It says, my son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline. There's our word, discipline. And do not lose heart when he rebukes you. So there's this parallelism between discipline and rebuke. Okay, so these two kind of go together. Verse 6, because the Lord disciplines the one he loves. Now, did you see that? That love and discipline go together. And he chastens everyone he accepts as his son. So, verse 7, endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children, for what children are not disciplined by their father? If you're not disciplined, and everyone undergoes discipline, you are not legitimate nor true sons and daughters at all. Here's the first point. God's discipline is evidence of two key concepts about him and about our relationship with him. Here's the two key concepts. Number one is his authority. The discipline communicates his authority. Now, inside the load of authority that every leader takes, there is a little package of discipline that they must execute. This is the nature of authority. When someone gives you a bit of authority, when someone has or possesses some kind of authority, inside that authority is some expectation or some measure that you're going to do some type of discipline. Any parents out there? If you're a mom or you're a dad, you know that you have authority over your child, that God has given you authority to lead them and to correct them and to train them. Well, inside that authority is this idea that you must discipline, you must hold them accountable, you must correct, you must teach, you must rebuke, that this is part of the dynamic of that authority. And what the scriptures are teaching us is that in our relationship with God, that God does have a level of authority over us, and this, by necessity, includes His right to discipline us, to teach, train, and correct, and set us up for what's happening inside the future. But there's a second component to this that makes this more appealing and more powerful. Not only in this discipline do we see God's authority, we also see His love. Let me read this verse to you again that comes from the book of Proverbs. Okay, here's what he says. My son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline. Do not lose heart when He rebukes you. And rebuke, that's a strong correction. A rebuke is someone that steps in and says, no, that's incorrect. You're doing it the wrong way. This is the way that we need to do it. This is the way that's going to benefit you and bless you. This is the way that's helpful to you. That's going to hurt you. This will help you. Do it that way. It's a strong, strong word of correction to get someone on the right path. Now, nobody likes that. No one likes the immediate process of that. But look what he says next. Why do I have to face this discipline and rebuke? Because the Lord disciplines the one He loves, and He chastens everyone He accepts as His son. The act of God disciplining you is the very proof that you are His child and that He loves you. Now, let me explain it this way. I discipline my children. They act crazy, they misbehave, they do all kinds of crazy stuff that they're not supposed to do, breaking the rules that we have inside of our house. If one of them lies to us, we have the authority that's been given to us, and because we love them, we discipline them. And I have this tight-knit love relationship with my children that I don't have with your children. And because I don't have this tight-knit relationship with your children, I don't need to be actively disciplining your children, nor do you need to be disciplining my children, because my act and my action of disciplining my children is proof of my love relationship to them. Because when I love someone that's underneath my authority, it is my job to discipline. And when authority and love come together, this is a powerful, powerful component. And for our seniors that are listening today, and if you're young and on your way into adulthood or you're young in adulthood, this is a powerful, powerful concept to understand as you're coming to terms with people getting up in your grill, telling you what to do, telling you how to behave, giving you all kinds of restrictions, that what you need to investigate as you bump up against this authority, you bump up against this reality that's out there in the world, is this a true authority that I need to trust? And is this someone that loves me or is out for my best interest? And in most cases, your parents fit that description of someone that loves you and they have God's given authority over you. And so it's a very, very powerful concept. And so when we see the idea of God disciplining us, which remember, it's not punishment. This is not punitive. This is not God out to get you, to ruin you, to belittle you, to demean you. What we see is that God is correcting you, training you, lifting you up, preparing you. Because here's what God knows that you don't know. God knows your future. He knows what's going to happen next week. He knows what's going to happen next semester. He knows what's going to happen 10 years from now. He knows what's going to happen 5 years from now when you get that job opportunity and you get that phone call and you've got to sit down for that interview and you've got to make an impression. God knows that. God knows exactly what's going to happen when you walk into that English class your freshman year in college and you meet this gorgeous girl and you want to make a great impression on her. God knows exactly what that moment is like. And so we have to trust God in the now for those future moments. And here's what we know about God. God has supreme authority But at the same time, God has supreme love for you. And these two things coming together inside of your life provide you the very tools and resources you need. And so when there's pain and when there's trial, it could be that God is using that as a part of his authority to prepare you for what's next. So what are the two components of discipline that God uses? His authority and his love, a love relationship like a father and a son. Now, here's what I want you to do. Kind of pause here for a moment. I want you to discuss the following there with your peeps or whoever you're with. Have you ever been the one who gave discipline to someone else? Have you ever had that moment? You're the one that has the authority, and inside that authority, there's a little bit of discipline. Have you ever been the one that had to dole out the discipline to someone else? What was that like? Talk about that with your friends. All right, did you talk about that? You probably discovered that being in charge is not always fun and games. And being the one that's at the top of the organizational chart, being the one that's the leader, has a serious and heavy responsibility, especially when it comes to this issue of discipline. Now, the second thing that I want to draw your attention to is this, is that God's discipline teaches us the life-giving power of submission. Now, this is another concept here in this verse, that the earlier you understand this, and the earlier that you embrace this, you can leverage this idea for your life in such a powerful, powerful way. And what I want to do is I want to read you one verse, and we're going to make some comments here. Verse 9. He says, moreover, and this is kind of a reflective statement, kind of a general statement about what he's been talking about. We have all had human fathers who disciplined us. And most people would go, yes, exactly. I know exactly what that's like. And we respected them for it. Like on the back side of that, on the opposite side, it wasn't fun in the moment, but as I look back on that, think about my dad, I respected him for it. How much more should we, and look at this word, should we submit to the Father of spirits and live? And what he's getting at here is that there is a power that's released in the act of discipline when we willingly submit to that authority. And so you can have someone that has authority over you, and you can have someone that loves you, and they're trying to train you and educate you. That will not be effective until you add this one key component: submission. Submission. And here's what I'm submitting to you today. What I'm submitting to you today is that all great organizations, all great systems, all great companies, all great and healthy families have systems of submission on the inside of them. That's just true. It's true if you go into the medical field. There's someone that's the supervising doctor. There's someone that's the head nurse. and he or she provides guidance and leadership to the people that are underneath him. This is so true in the military. The military is built upon this idea that when your superior gives you an order, you're to follow that order, you're to respond and say, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am, and move out and execute as you've been called to do. This happens in all kinds of systems, all kinds of organizations. This is part of what moves those things forward. And if there's ever a superpower, I think that we have lost as Christians in the modern West, it's this idea of being willing to submit into a system and see how that benefits us and how that grows us and matures us. Because sometimes the story that we hear of the hero or the heroine is someone that strikes out on their own, they buck all authority, and they're just, they're just against the whole system, and they're not connected to anyone, they're just kind of going solo, and that's the hero, and that's the one that makes the day. But when we begin to really understand what's happening that moves successful and healthy organizations forward, what we see is there are these micro systems that are built in where people can lovingly, voluntarily, and willingly submit. And when we do, and it's an atmosphere of good authority and nourishing love, when these two things come together and I submit to that, then this provides the right atmosphere to grow. Now, to explain this just a little further, most of you know that I'm in the process of training for an ultramarathon. I've mentioned that a few times. And about 6 months ago, I was running, probably about 20 to 25 miles a week, but I could only get up to 10, sometimes 13 miles, and then my body just began to shut down. I was having trouble with my IT band. It would just lock up, and they were swelling, and it was it. I couldn't run any further, and this was not enough to get me to the goal of running an ultra marathon, which is something I really, really wanted to do as a personal goal. And so I decided, if I'm going to do this, I've got to make a change. And so I connected with a chiropractor that's here local in St. Louis on Telegraph. It's a guy by the name of Dr. Lucas. He's there and has an office there, does a great job. And he has given me some exercises to do in order to help me along the way to reach this goal. Now, let me just say this. I've always been suspicious of chiropractors and some of the things that they have said. But let me tell you what the plan that he's put me on has been so helpful. Let me show you this one thing, okay? Now, I call this the cylinder of torture. And if you run, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because this is a foam roller, and it looks squishy and it looks nice and it looks pleasant until you put it on your IT band and you put the full weight of your body, you're horizontal and you're rolling on this, and it is excruciating pain. And then there's other exercises and other stretches that he makes me do with this medieval contraption right here, this band, and I would do it for you, but I would look silly and just completely embarrassed. But it's this program that he's gotten me on to help strengthen my legs, strengthen my hips, and strengthen my IT band. And what has happened is that I've been able to increase my mileage. And last week, I ran further than I have ever run before. I ran a total of 38 miles last week, 18 miles, one run, 20 miles, and another run. And this is directly related to this idea. Because here's what happened. I didn't fully understand the process that Dr. Lucas was having me go through. But even though I didn't understand the process, I put my trust in him and what he was saying. And because I put my trust in him, even though I did not understand the full process, the full ramifications, I didn't make the connection of, how does this and doing this and stretching this and using this, how does this actually help me run further? I didn't know the biomechanics behind it. I'm not an orthopedic surgeon. I'm not a doctor. I haven't been in medical school. So I didn't fully understand the process, but I had to come to a moment where I placed my trust in his authority. You follow where I'm going? And because I put my trust in his authority and submitted to his instructions, I'm now better prepared for my future. This is the superpower of submission that we miss out on. And the authority that we've been called to trust in is the authority of God himself. And God has supreme authority. At the same time, he has incredible love for you. He's devoted to you. And he's proven that by sending his son to die on your behalf, in your place, for your sins, so that you and I can have a free, guilt-free, shame-free connection with God. That's proof positive of his love for us. If we want the full benefit of God's disciplining inside of our life, then we must willingly submit to what he has called us to do. That submission gets the most out of discipline when we submit to what God has for us. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? Now, here's how I want to end today. I want to lead you through something. And the first thing that I want you to recognize as we're wrapping this up is this. And it's related to Dr. Lucas. I submitted not because I understood the process. I submitted because I trusted the authority. You see the difference? Let me say this one more time. I submitted not because I understood the process. Like I didn't quite make the connection, do these steps and do these exercises and you're going to run further. Didn't understand that. I didn't know how that works. But I agreed and I submitted because I trusted in Dr. Lucas. Many of you are at the same point as in your relationship with God. You're wanting for God to explain everything, answer all your questions, unravel all the paradoxes, complete everything, and I want a full picture, and then once I get all this information, maybe I'll submit. That's not the way the faith dynamic works, and that's the way, a lot of things work, that in that same way. And what I learned through this process is that I didn't understand the process, but I trusted in authority. This is exactly what the author of Hebrews is challenging us to do, that we trust God in this moment, even though we may not fully understand what he is doing. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pause, and we're going to give you some time to do this, and then we're going to have a closing prayer at the end. I want you to pause for a moment, and I want you to ponder the pain that you're in, the discomfort. And maybe it's not a sharp pain. Maybe it's kind of this sense of anxiety, this sense of worry. For some of you, this is related to an event. It's a past event that has taken place. It could be that it could be about an argument that you've had. It could be about a missing relationship or a failed relationship. For some of you, it could be a job loss. For some of you, it could be a missing opportunity that you didn't take full advantage of. For others of you, this could be the consequence of some kind of huge failure that you've had in your past. But whatever it is, I want you to get that pain in front of you right now. I want you to think about that and ponder that. And here's the two questions I want you to consider as we go through this reflective time. I want you to consider, what could God be teaching you? What could God be teaching you? And secondly, what could God be preparing you for? What could God be teaching you? And what could God be preparing you for? I want you to ponder these two questions as you reflect on your pain. So to wrap up, here's what we know. God has supreme authority, and He wants to lovingly shower that authority over you to benefit you and to bless you. In order for you to get the most out of His authority and His love and to receive the benefit of this discipline, you must be willing to submit to what God has called you to do. Now, normally during this time in the service, I just pray a prayer and we kind of end. But today I want to do something a little different. I want to read a prayer over you that I think is so appropriate. And this is a prayer for you as you wrestle with your pain and as you consider the process of submitting to God's discipline inside of your life. Here's the prayer. Father, you are the supreme authority, a God of order. You have instituted other authority structures that will support healthy relationships and maintain harmony. It is my decision to surrender my will to you, that I might find protection and dwell in the secret place of the Most High. Father, when I feel that my life is spiraling out of control, I bind my mind to the mind of Christ and my emotions to the control of the Holy Spirit. I lose my mind from obsessive thought patterns that try to confuse me. I belong to Jesus Christ, the Anointed One, who breaks down and destroys every yoke of bondage. In His name and in obedience to your will, Father, I submit to the control and direction of the Holy Spirit, whom you have sent to live in me. I am your child. All to you I surrender. I'm an overcomer by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of His testimony. And it's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen. Well, thank you so much for being here today. God bless you. Once again, congratulations to our seniors. I pray that today is a great day of encouragement and inspiration for you. God bless. We'll see you next time.